Thanks everyone for joining this roundtable session. While we wait for people to join, perhaps we can get started with the intros. So if I can just invite Janine to introduce yourself and your organization, and then we can all take turns.
Thank you, John. So I'm Janine, and I head an organization called Solve Education. What we do is that we elevate people out of poverty by providing them with education and employment opportunities through tech. So we mainly focus on teaching people how to learn and creating technology that's accessible both considering the devices, the infrastructure that people have, and also digital skills that they have. So, yeah, that's pretty much for me.
Thank you. Ernie, would you like to go next?
Yeah, thank you. So hello everyone. This is Ernie from Code for Asia based in Singapore. We build communities of learning for young people and stakeholders from across the region to learn and apply coding to solve for sustainable challenges. We also develop software for skilling quality education, such as a mobile game for preschoolers to learn Mandarin and a cross-platform app to power peer-based learning networks. I'm very happy to be here with all of you today. Yeah.
Thanks, Ernie. Duika?
Yeah, I think my internet is a little bad here. I hope that you can hear me well. Bebras Indonesia is basically a nonprofit going for spreading and teaching the computational thinking, which is a problem solving and thinking framework for everybody. We started at the age of grade 3, the third grader, but starting this year, we're also targeting people who are younger than that, children who are younger than that. That's basically it.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm John. I'm the moderator for this session. I run Saturday Kids, which is a coding school for kids in Singapore. Although I like to tell people it's a curiosity school for kids. And I also run Doyobi. So, what Doyobi does is we create content and curricula for teachers to teach science and coding. So, Doyobi is working with teachers and empowering them, whereas Saturday Kids, we work directly with children. So maybe we can get right into it. The first question I have is, uh, there's a lot of talk about the digital skills gap, and I'd like to ask everyone on this panel, where and how does change making come into this conversation around digital skills gap? Do you like to go first?
Sorry.
Duika, would you like to go first?
Oh, sure, sure. I think about the digital skills gap right now. It's um, it's a shame that we still have those. I believe that because right now every skill is transferable quite easily from the internet and everything, right? So these digital skills, they should not be there anymore. In my personal opinion, I think that it's supposed to be transferable to especially the younger generations. Meanwhile, older generations, given the right tools and the right stimulants for them to learn, I think it's also going to be very easy. You can click it just one click away from your phone and your laptop, and you can learn something new every day. And I think that it should not be there. Yeah. And change making, of course, can help do that because we keep on giving the bridges from human to technology, and that way, yeah, that should make the journey easier for everybody. And the digital skill gap should close down. That's what I have in
Thank you. Ernie?
So I think, building on what Duka has shared, I mean, I think that whatever your problem of interest is, technology is applicable as a solution to all these things, right? So it's really important that we bridge this digital skills gap because it's an essential component of making solutions. And in the change-making ecosystem for addressing this digital skills gap, there's definitely room for educators, employers, parents, professionals, youth, and society in general to reach a rough consensus, to prioritize and to forge a path for the inclusion moving forward, to make sure that we're able to increase access to these digital skills. And that may actually mean that, more room and voice needs to be given to the young for digital natives to be able to switch role from that of a student into a teacher. So young people should also be able to enjoy the agency to occupy that space. And basically tech as a solution has a role to play in increasing and scaling access to coding as a literacy and giving people the information that they need to succeed. And the possibilities are quite, limited basically only by our imagination, right? You could be using short videos to make learning more interesting, or maybe even using AI to identify learning difficulties and give recommendations and so on and so forth. So I think there's certainly a lot that we can do as a collective to, bridge that gap together. Yeah.
Thank you. Janine?
So for me, because I work mainly with the bottom of pyramid demographic, and Self Education currently is mainly active in 7 countries. So we face the digital skills gap on a daily basis. So there is, of course, the more obvious ones, which is access. Right. So whether people have access to devices or even strong network or even any connectivity at all, that's the access part, and which many great companies and governments are working together to solve that. But there is also another part, which is literacy, right? And literacy that's more obvious is, do people understand what companies do with their data, or what are the different risks that different panelists have been speaking in previous sessions. So one not so obvious part is about literacy in even either their their own language or in English, because we have a lot of experience in different countries, whether it's Nigeria or Indonesia, where we came across users that memorize which button to click, even with WhatsApp, right? So when WhatsApp actually update, then they are lost again. So, and we have also people in India who use their phone, and be it a low-end smartphone, but they use it only for, messaging and some Facebook, and in Myanmar, where, what is internet is Facebook. So so that's why for us, we think we work on bridging the gap by first working on literacy, and particularly focusing on English literacy, because a lot of the content out there are in English, and we think that English first will be able to bridge the gap between education, access to information, or even livelihoods. So yeah, that's what we are currently working on.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is that first you need to give them basic literacy, in English or in Bahasa, for example, right? Before you can even think about digital literacy. And then beyond that, think about change making. So I guess it makes me wonder, why is it that we always hear the term digital skills gap, but we don't hear the term change making skills gap? Maybe that's what's needed, right? To bring that into the conversation, that young people shouldn't just uh, think about basic literacy and then beyond that digital skills, but really think about how do you apply those digital skills to making a change in your community, effecting the change that you want to see. Would anybody like to comment on that?
Maybe I can start. So we have our learners surprised us, and we've seen, during my first few rollouts with street kids, actually in the Greater Jakarta area, we see them naturally group themselves into 4 to 5 people in one group, and the person that actually know the answer will be kind of like coaching or like laughing at his friends who did not answer correctly. And that's where we start to see peer-to-peer learning. But what I would kind of illustrate 2 stories. So we did partnering with a bank that focused on low-income moms, low-income demographic in Indonesia. We did a session in kind of an area of Bandung, and the target audience are low-income moms. And at that point, because it's quite a manual door-to-door rollout, the goal was to roll out to the moms in that area only. So the take-up rate was very low, to be very honest, about 17% or so. And we get feedback like, you know what, how can we learn with our phones? If we want to learn, we need to be in a classroom, things like that. And or I'm just ibu, I'm just like a regular housewife. I don't think I'm able to do that. But what happened was quite astonishing for us. After a month, we saw our enrollment rate being 113% or something. I don't know where the extra 13% came. And what happened was the people on the ground were sending us pictures of these moms who recently start to learn, the fundamentals of literacy, use their phone and have like 5 kids in front of them teaching in their homes. So change making can come in such ways that you wouldn't imagine. When people feel empowered and feel that they can learn on their own, right, the confidence really help them impact the change around them. So that's the story from Indonesia. And then I have a very recent story from Nigeria, where we are rolling out chat-based teaching. Again, because that digital skills, they're most used to chatting, right, with each other. So what we did was to get our initial bunch of very active learners and got them to become team leaders and form their own learning groups and compete with each other. So yeah, over a week, we have like 100 groups, and each group between, about 20 learners or so. And then the team leaders will be the one motivating, the teammates to learn. If they don't come on board, you'll get not a notification from us, but a notification from your friend who is asking you to come to learn. So those are the two things that we've seen, in our immediate beneficiary groups.
If I may add a little bit, John. A little bit on our side from Bebras is we see that technology and humanity as the theme of this event. Technology and humanity are they are not like a one step. They're not like a one way road, right? It's a two-way road, and that's why in Bebras we focus on the computational thinking, on the problem solving skills, because we think that human created technology as a way to solve their problems as well, which is why it's a very it's an irony for me personally to see how there are humans part of humanity who are not able to use technology to solve their problem as well, because technology in the end is a media to solve a problem. Now you're saying about change making, you're saying about the change making part, right? Humans cannot make change unless they want a change to happen, right? And why do they want a change to happen? It's because they have a problem they're facing, or they have a goal they are trying to achieve. So we believe that by building technologies, we have lots of people who are already building new technologies daily, new startups coming up every day and everything. But what we do is we want to try to embed the human itself with the capability of actually maximizing the usage of these technologies. Pretty much like what Janine said with the learners and everything. Because in the end, well, a laptop is just a cutting board. It's just a cutting board if you don't know how to use it, right? And your phone is simply just a bookmark if you don't know how to use it well. So we try to focus on the humans first, and I think change making starts from the human. It's never from the technology. You need the technology to make the change, and that's why you're making the technology. That's what I believe in, and I believe that that's something that we need to look closer to. Thank you.
Thanks, Vika. Ready?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to add on to what Janine and Dika has shared, we suddenly see young people everywhere, right? Digital natives being natural creators of technology, and the tech that they use to make an impact could range from anything, could range in anything from making simple process improvements to actually just creating new products and markets with whatever skills that they have. So in Code for Asia's case, we've seen community talents help us to bring our programs to be entirely online. So we can actually engage young people around Asia to learn to solve for problems using coding. We've also seen them start their own venture. One particular venture is called Pick a Talk, which actually is an app that's applying AI to help children with autism communicate their needs better. So certainly, I think at the end of the day, the applications of tech to change making are really limited by human capital and our imagination. Yeah.
Thank you. So I guess we all agree that desire to make a difference should come first, right? And technology is just an enabler for us to do that. And so maybe the question is then, how do we encourage more young people to uh, think about problem solving, not just in terms of business problems, but social problems? How do we get them to think about making a difference to their community, to society, to the world? And maybe it's not just the young people themselves, right? Maybe it's their parents, maybe it's their teachers, maybe it's society at large. So, would you guys like to comment on that? Anyone wants to go first?
I suppose I can go first. So I think back at myself as a young person, and so my background is in computer engineering, right? And actually, I learned coding not knowing why, just because I was good at it. And at that point, honestly, because I have been kind of looked per se looked down upon by our grandparents who preferred the male grandsons than the female granddaughters, that I really enjoyed beating all the boys in my class when I was 16, but through learning computing, right? That gave me a sense of purpose. Now, I have to be honest, I haven't really at that point thought about any social problems that I to solve. And this is the first time that I'm admitting it in public, is that I was solving problems like, and really recently I found my old diskette, and I saw the old problems that I'm trying to solve is to coordinate my clothes. And I used my sister as the model. I took pictures of her, and then and try to be able to coordinate and catalog my clothes. That's one. And second thing, in the computer labs, right? Of course, we have our assignments to create robotic stuff, but me and my friends were soldering earrings and bracelets. So I guess my point is this. I live in a very sheltered place. It grew up in quite a sheltered environment, and I wasn't really exposed to the problems, the social problems that exist in the world until much later when I started working out of Singapore. So I grew up in Singapore, but I've been out of Singapore for like 17, 18 years now. And that opportunity helped me, really help open my eyes to the different, problems out there, and hence help and hence I'm here, trying to solve a social problem. So I think to motivate the young people, we need to give them a why, and we need to give them exposure to the problems, because yeah, if not, they'll probably end up like me, doing a lot of random things with my time.
If I may add a little bit on that, I believe that motivating the young people is never about it's I'm talking like a very old guy right now, but but motivating the younger people, it's never about the goal anymore. It's never about the goal. It's about their pain points. It's about what makes them want to move from one place to another. It's about what drives them away from their point of existence in a way. That's why people created Facebook, because maybe more and more people are forgetting how to remember all the birthdays. They keep on missing ways to keep connecting with their friends and stuff like that. That's why Twitter exists. That's why maybe Google has lots of new technologies and stuff, because it started from the pain points that somebody feels annoyed that something is not happening the way they want to happen, right? And then they find people who has like-minded problems, who has like similar problems, and then they see, okay, this is something that I can work on, and then after that, people start to realize they have a problem. I have a one old saying that I really like. It's like the first step to fixing a problem, to address a problem, is to actually say that you have it, is to actually acknowledge that you have it. So for me, it might be quote unquote a little bit too spiritual, but that's true because you might not know you have a problem unless you are exposed with what the other people, the other society, the other location has in place. Like what Janine said before, it's like I don't know that I have that problem when I was still living in Singapore and stuff like that, right? And that's why I think me myself, I see how I read more, I Google more about what's happening in the world, and I see, wow, my problem is nothing compared to this. And if I have no problem, then maybe I can start moving towards solving somebody else's problem, possibly. Maybe I don't have a problem with clean water, but there are lots of people, millions of people out there have problems with clean water, for example. Find like-minded people and then work on solutions to that. People needs to know the why, exactly what Janine said. People need to know the why. But sometimes people don't find their why because they don't even know that there are problems happening. There are people who denies that there are problems, right? So we need to let this younger generation who are said to be like very active. They are very active. They are very open to seeing how other people think and speak. Expose them to as many opportunities like this, great events, great speaking opportunities, great speakers, great speeches. I was moved by MLK before, so why don't these people can move from somebody else who have so many opportunities? And I think yeah, make them discover that yeah, I have a problem. The world has a problem. That's what needs to happen.
Thank you. Ernie?
Yeah, so I think we can, start with why and articulating and raising more awareness about these problems, right? And in terms of how of change making for young people, maybe organizations like ours can actually also provide more opportunities, more volunteering opportunities for young people to apply their digital skills, or maybe even to upskill through volunteering. And this can really start really simple, right? They can just, maybe start with making some social media graphics, raising awareness about climate change, or maybe code and contribute to software that could make an impact on the SDGs. So this can also be done in tandem with training so that more young people will also have the skills necessary to thrive in this digital space. So I think in summary, we need to empower the young and the friends to become change makers with coding and whatever digital skills they might have, to also make sure that no one is left behind on the digitalization bandwagon. And that can come through building communities, conversations, and platforms like this one to exchange ideas and initiate conversations.
Yeah, and one thing I think I'm hearing from all of you is that perhaps the people who are closest to the problems are the young people from disadvantaged communities, right? Because they understand their problems the best. They have the most empathy for other people who are facing similar problems. So maybe the question we need to ask ourselves is how do we empower these young people from disadvantaged backgrounds, right, from very poor communities to become change makers? How do we get them to a point where they have the skills to be change makers and that change making is a viable option for them? They can take care of themselves and their families while being change makers. So maybe that's where organizations like Ashoka and Google.org come in to support the work that we do and support these young people directly in order for them to be change makers. So we only have a couple of minutes left. I would like to open this up to the floor. Do we have any questions from the audience? Um, Feel free to either type it in the chat or just unmute yourself. Okay. If there are questions from the audience, feel free to just type it in. In the meantime, let me get back to the panelists. Maybe starting with Janine. in one or two sentences, how would you convince a young person or the parents or the teachers to get on that change making journey?
So I make it short and sweet. You have one beautiful, amazing life. Live life with purpose.
That's beautiful. Ernie?
So mine is the best way to predict the future is to build it. And the best tool for getting started is code. All you need is a laptop, internet connection, and you can make the world a better place for people like you right away.
Duika?
Change is necessary. Having a change is necessary. If you don't, then you'll get consumed by the change. If you don't try to change, then you'll get consumed by the changes that people make, and that's not wise.
Great. And from me, I would just repeat Doyobi's mission statement, which is to help kids become original thinkers with a sense of purpose. So I think we are all aligned here in terms of the need for young people to acquire the digital skills, which will come in really useful in whatever area they choose to pursue. But in particular, if they want to be change makers, having those digital skills and the ability to leverage technology to make a difference, that's really powerful. I would like to thank all my panelists for their time. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys back on Swapcard. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye. See you on Softcard.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thanks.